Hi, this is Tactical Reserves. I'm Brinks.
I'm Zach.
I'm Troy.
I'm Amble.
And I'm Chad.
And this week we are going to be discussing how to utilize your Indomitus box. We'll be talking about, obviously, our hobby night. And I think we're probably going to delve in a little bit more into what we're doing with our 9th edition armies. I kind of want to focus a little bit on Thousand Sons tonight, talk about that some. And I'm sure Anvil has AdMech things. Troy's got demon things or something. But mostly we want to focus on the Indomitus box.
Some that chaos bullshit.
Yeah.
They're demons, it's fine.
But yeah, that's the plan tonight. But we'll start with this week in hobbying. What'd you do this week, Anvil?
I built a Bobby G most of the way. I built them in subsections. So I got, legs and arms and stuff, so it's a little easier to paint. Got it primed, got it painted gold, and got his sword pretty much done. It needs a little bit of glazing and touch up to smooth out the fire ripples and whatnot, but pretty happy with where the sword's at. And I built my second Stratoraptor and got it primed.
Nice. And you primed like more armies or more models than Chad's ever primed.
Yeah,
in his army.
I also primed and painted about a dozen of Chad's intercessors. Painted them blue, painted the gold on their chest, put red eyes on them. So I did infinitely more painting on Chad's army than he did this week.
All right, Zach, how about you?
I got my Indomitus box, so I put together all the Marines. And I've been painting on my second Telemann Dread. I'm finally figuring out the way that I want to paint my gold. It's starting to look really nice. I'm pretty happy with it.
Awesome. Chad?
I painted nothing. The over-under at half a model was true. I painted 0 models. Anvil painted a lot of my models and primed them all. Apparently they're all primed now in blue, but I did build 2 boxes of Indomitus.
You did do that.
Blue is not primer. Blue is a base color. They're all primed. And
they
black.
are primed
And based.
All of them are primed and based. All of them.
I'm out of McCray.
So we'll have at least one Marine done next week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, all the ones I painted are 3 colors.
They are technically table ready, but I want to get all their guns and belts, snakebite leather and lead belts.
So what homework are we giving Chad this week?
One Marine.
One Marine.
Well, one
I think
Marine
we should say 5 but it's the ones that you've already basically done.
Yeah.
So like he's got to have 5 guns done.
Well, guns and swords.
Yeah.
They need their
This week.
swords done too. I want to do a lot of work on those this week.
Can you commit to 5?
I can commit to a squad of
Okay,
intercessors.
all right.
Moving on.
Slap bet.
No slap bet. I should have slap bet me building the boxes.
Yeah.
That'd
All
be
right,
great.
Troy. How about you?
I built a Lord of Change, and like I said, I started painting my Lord of Change.
It looks good.
I got all the big parts done. Right now I'm working on like the jewelry and I still gotta do his staff, which is yeah. But I didn't really want another Lord of Change, but the one I have is built wrong, so I figured, and I found a good deal on one, so I might.
And why not have 2 of the most hated
I
model in our group?
I might field 2 names. Mine is actually the named character Kairos, so you can't give him relics. You can't make him. Well, you can't make him warlord, but his warlord trait.
Does this one have the sword, or is this one the staff?
The new one I have has a sword because I've been playing with a sword a lot.
Is the sword good?
No.
No. Okay. I was just curious.
It's basically
He's an honest man.
it's -1 to hit, strength 8, -3 d6 damage. So normally he's only strength 7, and I end up rumbling with vehicles a lot. So I just pay the 5 points for the sword. It's probably not worth it because it makes -1 hit, but it's something when he can't smite everything to death.
But yeah, that's fair. So we did the marathon stream, and Anvil, Chad, and Troy all joined me throughout it. I built 3 Necron halves of Indomitus and got them all about, I would say, halfway done. They're technically ready. They technically could be played on the tabletop, but they're not. They're not done. So we're basically at glow effects on all of the like low end models, but the Scorpec destroyers and the HQs all need to be like fully detail painted. But the gold's on them, they're rusted, and glow effects are on about half of the rest of the army. So I'm happy with it. It was a good week of hobbying. We gave away a box. Can't wait to see the dude be stoked on that. But yeah, it's been a decent week of hobbying. And we figured, since it seems like everybody on the internet has an Indomitus box, why not go ahead and discuss kind of how to utilize the box, to get the most of your money. And I just want to say on the Necron half, hang tight onto it, because the Scorpec destroyers I think could be really good because they're infantry. They just don't have any special like stratagems or rules or anything yet, so we're kind of waiting on that. If they get some sort of special rule though, where they can like fight twice or something like that, they could be really, really, really absurd, because you just being able to jump them across the board is not going to be fair.
Necrons do not have a fight twice stratagem.
Why is that?
No, do they not?
Oh, I think they have one in a special faction, but it's a shit faction.
Okay, I know that like a lot of other armies at least have.
Yeah, it's
like,
limited to
twice.
like
it's like usually it's like.
How many attacks do these guys get?
I think they get 4. Let me tell you their stats. They're insane. Like as a unit, they can bring the pain.
I just didn't know if Necrons were like, like if your Space Marines character can fight twice, or if he dies, or just fight twice.
Yeah,
period.
that Space Marine can do anything.
That's true.
Yeah, we have
fight
discovered
twice
that this week.
Just for looking
Just
at
he
the
wants to fight
crossways.
twice. Yeah.
Okay, so Scorpec destroyers first off take up an elite spot, not a heavy spot, which is really good because the elite spot is not great. They are a weapon skill 3, so their weapon is strength. This is with the modifiers. The 2 of them have a strength 5, AP 3, 2 damage weapon, and they get an additional attack. So they get 4 attacks apiece with that weapon. And then the third guy in the unit actually has one that's strength 7, AP 4, damage flat 3. So you get that per unit. Now they are capped at units of 3, and they already reroll 1s. Like that's built into them.
What's their movement?
Their movement is 8 inches.
That does sound pretty decent even without the strategy.
They do. They're really the only super solid melee thing in the army right now. So to like have them run up the board would just be, it's just harder because the rest of the army's so mobile and has good range. So I feel like it's hard to fit them in there. Now if you just want to leave them on your backfield, because they're not absurdly expensive, it's 120 points for 3 of them.
What's the power level?
6.
Is it 1 CP or 2 CP?
1 to 10, I think is 1.
So you could try your tactical or board edge reserve or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
For CP and deep strike.
Yeah, that might be useful with them. But they have potential. I think that model, if it gets a rule, is going to be like really good.
Or counter deep strike.
But
As long as you're in their deployment, you can deep strike within 1 inch
I
of
think
your
that's the rule. You can do strike in your deployment zone.
So if they charge into you, you could use
Anywhere
that
you
to drop
Yeah,
it.
you can't be within an inch. That has to be on the board edge for that to work. But yeah, you can deep strike in your own deployment. I was just thinking to get them up the board with shot at.
no, that's very valid. That's actually, hadn't considered deep strike him. And then if you want, for an additional 15 points, you can take the plasma scythe, which it doesn't really do anything. So I'm not really if it can. Now here's the thing: if you start the fight phase and the unit contains a plasma scythe, so for 15 points, it can inject tainted energy. If it does, roll a d6. On a 1, one Scorpec destroyer and model in this unit is just destroyed.
Okay.
Otherwise, until the end of the phase, the unit gets an extra strength and attack characteristic.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like a combat drug thing.
But you can't re-roll it.
You can't re-roll it.
If you roll 1, there's just 1 gone.
So, anyway, keep an eye on those.
Orky Necrons.
You don't have to do it. Right? You pay 15 points.
You
and
can.
have the option to do it.
Yeah, you can.
So I
like,
think
if you
that's
need the
what-
extra strength. Which
I don't know,
strength
15
6,
points is pretty.
It's 15 points a lot.
And though
it
If
does
you don't have
have...
the option and not just having to do it,
I find
it's
a
really
lot.
strong.
I find a lot of the lists I build in 9th edition, I end up struggling to try to fill like 15 points, 20 points.
I don't.
I do. It's like I get to a point where I'm at like 980, and you're like, well, I can put like a couple 2-point things to like, but I can't ever really. It's harder to because I don't have cheap units to.
Was that the only unit in the box you like?
Yeah. It is. I actually
Paying
think...
3 boxes worth.
Well, so I have faith in GW, which is scary, but I do have faith that they're going to get an overhaul to make them good. I will say also, I guess they came out with the new houses, and if you're really wanting to play warriors, the new house will let you rapid fire the 14-inch range gun. at the full 14 inches. So that gun gets to be pretty absurd when it's rapid firing at 14 inches. So let me just look up its stat real quick, because that was not a thing when I thought, and I'm glad I built 30 warriors with this Gauss Reaper. So the Gauss Reaper is 14 inches, rapid fire 1, so that would just be rapid fire 1. It's strength 5, AP 2, damage 1 on an infantry.
That's pretty good.
So that thing could bring the pain. Now, I don't know, the strength 5 seems really insane in the current metagame. So that's kind of, and at 14 inches is good enough range. I always kind of anticipate being within 12 anyway, so it was just 7 is crazy pants. The Scorpack Lord is pretty good, but I don't think you need him. I think the reanimation protocol shenanigans are much better. And the Canoptic Reanimator just has rules that overlap with the Cryptek, and you can't stack it. So you only get the +1 anyway. So right now it basically does nothing. That's why I'm assuming that they're going to overhaul some of the models and correct that so that you don't have the weird overlap.
Well, it's not an HQ slot, though. So you could take a different HQ. If
You could if you need an HQ.
But
That is true.
Probably not worth it.
No, it's expensive too.
Does it have any guns?
It has a injector or something like that. It's 110 points for the Canoptic Reanimator, right? It does have an atomizer beam, so it's assault 3, strength 6, AP 2, damage 1, and it has the melee claws, which it gets 4 attacks at strength 5, AP 2, 1 damage. So, but yeah, it lets you add 1 to reanimation protocols within 9 inches. That's its ability. So 110 points, and it's only T5, which is not super good in Necrons. A lot of shit's already T5. And it does have 6 wounds, but once again, it's not really that impressive for 110 points in Necrons. Like, we're already struggling for points. And I will say the last little tidbit on it is the Scarabs, which I really want to try to fit. They got better. So they went up to, so they're T3, strength 3, and their movement's 10 inches, and they have 4 attacks. All right, and now granted they're only strength 3, but it says whenever resolving the attack, which is on a 4+, any unmodified hit roll of a 6 automatically successfully wounds the target. So all 6 is just wound. So I don't know. I still think those guys are good for just and they're 45 points. So you're paying 45 points for 12 attacks at T3.
Don't they have like 4 wounds apiece?
4 wounds apiece. And I did double check. You do only lose 1 model when you do the explosion. So
you can self-destruct 1.
Yeah, and mortal wound something if you really need to convert some wounds. So I don't know, but you do have to do it before you attack, so it's not great. Anyway, the Necron half, sit on it. I do think it could be good. And if you're looking to trade it, I think after the 9th edition Codex comes out, it's going to have a lot more value to people than it does right now. So, I just think you'll get better trades. But yeah, let's move on to the real meat and potatoes of Indomitus. We all know it is the Space Marines. Everybody's been pretty hype on it. And, I want to let Zach start. I know he's doing some Blood Angels with it, and just kind of talk about the units you like the most and what you think you're going to be utilizing them for.
Okay, well, like you said, I've been tinkering with my Blood Angels again. The Indomitus box got me looking into it. I really like the Blade Guard veterans for Blood Angels specifically. But apparently I'm late to the party because I only have 1 impulsor, and you cannot find impulsors anywhere on the internet right now, so that's kind of a bummer. But, everybody's that wants to know about Marines and Indomitus probably has the books, but the thing is their mastercrafted power sword is a +1 strength, so that makes them strength 5, -3, 2 damage. They get +1 to wound, so that means you're wounding Marines, other Primaris Marines on 2s, which is
That's really good.
really good. So I'm thinking, and they're not in Gravis armor. They have a 2-up save and a 4-up invulnerable. So you can put them in the impulsor, run the impulsor up to an objective, jump them out of the impulsor, and sit on the objective turn 1. And those guys are
and just give them a come at me, bro, kind of.
Yes, you just stand there, score your points, and if people come into them, they
Got
should
their
be,
swords and a 4-up invulnerable.
yeah, they should be pretty hard to shift. I'm pretty high on those guys.
If you wanted to.
In Blood Angels specifically, I don't know how good they are in other shooty type things, maybe as like a counter charge unit, but in Blood Angels specifically, I think they're really good because the +1 to wound just makes that strength 5 sword so good.
And you can also do the, if you want to get saucy, there's the psychic ability gives all that unit +1 attack, right?
Yeah.
So
All
you
you
can
can do, your typical
Blood
Blood
Angels.
Angels shenanigans.
So are they limited to squads of 3, or can you take more?
Right now, they're limited to squads of 3, but I assume once they start actually making the multi-part resin or multi-part kits, they'll change the rules a little bit. Maybe you can get up to a squad of 6, which would be really cool.
That's what everybody's
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, that would be useful.
Because then it'd be really, because they're only 105 points for 3 models, so 210 points to
Just
Put them in impulse.
Primaris Marines with 2-ups and 4-ups.
that would power swords that, especially if you're Blood Angels, wound
Bring the pain.
wound
right.
most things on 2s and 3s.
So I think T5 is pretty odd because 8th edition that wasn't really a thing, but I feel like in 9th edition T5 is definitely where you want to be as far as any extra damage you can do at T5 or better is great.
Yeah, high value.
Like Custodies are T5, Death Guards all T5, right? They're Marines,
The Marines and the Terminators, yeah.
right? Bullgrin are T5. Like that's a lot of.
If
Everybody's moving to.
add mech with the catalogs from the breachers or destroyers or T5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to super durable units to stand on these objectives. So you really need more than regular bolter shots to be dealing efficient wounds to 5 toughness models.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
the Outriders are okay, I think, but
They get 1 billion attacks.
they get a lot of
They get
attacks.
A lot of attacks.
They get to move. They move around real fast. They're T5 too, if I remember correctly. So it's just
They check a lot of boxes.
yes,
Now that's the bike guys, right?
yes.
They move
Yeah,
12
what's their
base,
movement?
They move 14.
14.
I'm staring at them. That's what I was going to talk
Well,
about.
do they auto advance 6?
They auto advance 6. If they charge, they add 2 to the attacks.
And they come and watch squads.
Is that on
3.
top of the?
Squads of 3.
They had 2 attacks on top of the normal
Shock assault?
Shock assault thing.
Yeah,
So they
because
get 3 extra attacks
yep,
in the charge.
3 extra attacks if they
That's
charge.
what everyone was
and the
talking about.
strength is,
When they first
strength
spoiled
4.
it.
Strength 4 -1. D1 damage, but you get 3 extra attacks per model.
Yeah, they're super good at clearing chaff.
So
I
if they
think.
charge,
Yeah.
the normal ones get 5 and the sergeant gets 6.
Yeah.
I will.
So I want to know when we're gonna get the sidecar for the Primaris guy.
I think you're getting the go kart instead.
That's
ATV?
instead. Oh, I want the sidecar.
I want the ATV.
Definitely
You
a
would.
go-kart.
You
You
would.
would. It's definitely a go kart.
It is a go kart. Don't try to call it an ATV.
It's
We
called.
need to get a top
I mean,
from one, and we can call it a golf cart.
Could you drive it on all terrain?
Oh, you from the looks of it, no.
But
It's
it's
a
made,
Definitely not. It sits like 1 inch off the
That
ground.
top marine be bouncing out.
but it's made 40,000 years from now, so it's got to be super advanced.
The bottom marine.
It has wheels and tires, and it's 1 inch off the ground, and there's like
AdMech flyers.
Hey.
2,000
doesn't
pound
matter.
dudes driving it.
Hey, the bottom marine better have some ear protection because that gun's gonna be loud.
Hey, it's,
right?
Yeah.
that is just an aesthetic. That
Zach's rolling around in diesel tanks.
the margins of it shows an aesthetic. Okay, it's like they're really.
What about the diesel tanks?
I got no explanation for those guys, but the
Things
admins
were outdated 100 years ago.
build all the greatest technology in the universe, but they just want them to look this way. They're like really advanced underneath.
That's why your robots have like cloth wings for their flowers.
Cloth
Like
wings.
the Da Vinci style.
They have space cloth wings.
Should be made of solid
Transparent
steel.
aluminum. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Look, this is how it looks. All right, it operates just fine. Highly
The eye
advanced.
test passes the eye test.
Yeah.
What you getting at?
Oh God.
I
all
think
of the
the
go-kart
Outriders
passes the eye test.
No, it doesn't.
good.
Well, anyway, I'll hold off on your Outriders. Let's
Well, he was
let
talking
Zach
about,
finish
you
his
know.
thought.
All right, and the last thing is like the assault intercessors. I think are good for melee specific armies like Blood Angels or Space Wolves.
White
Space
White Scars?
White Scars, sure. I think if I were playing White Scars, it'd just be all bikes.
Yeah, I don't think
all
I'd
the
bring
time.
any.
I would agree.
No
Okay.
ground guys.
But you gotta have some.
No, I think you
I don't
just.
think you did.
I think you just bike around.
Well, but you can't do any of those
You play
I'll
some
pick
scout. I still think you play scouts and white
Okay.
scars.
We'll play a patrol, so we can get one squad of dudes out there. The rest of everybody's on bikes.
Yeah, it's just bikes. Bikes on bikes on bikes.
Just like if I played Space Wolves, it'd be a ton of Thunderwolves.
But I think the Assault Marine or the Assault Intercessors could be really good in Space Wolves, because their new chapter tactic is they all get to heroically intervene.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be if the whole game is based around standing on objectives, if they get there first, nobody else can contest without getting punched,
And if they
which is
charge,
pretty cool.
those guys are hitting on twos.
Yes.
Yeah, they're gonna bring the pain for sure.
And Space Wolves with the 6-inch, just everything just gets punched to death.
Yeah. I'm glad Space Wolves are finally gonna get out of this rut because it's a cool looking army and it sucks that like
It's dudes on wolves. I mean,
or wolf dudes.
I wonder when we're gonna get
Viking dudes.
We're gonna get Primaris Wolf, like all the Primaris. We had like one guy geared towards Space Wolves. The rest of it's just been they've gotten the Primaris stuff, but they haven't had their own.
Yeah.
Like when are we gonna get Primaris Thunderwolves or Primaris
they'll go
Wolf
right in,
Leader? You know,
instantly in to the army.
Wolfen with like 5 wounds.
Primaris Rune.
Massive.
Primaris Rune Priests.
Bobby Ryan.
I know that's kind of against the idea of Primaris, but I want to see it.
I will say that I'm going to paint all my Assault Intercessors as Death Company in hopes that that works out.
Just will it.
Yeah.
Will it into existence?
That way they can get because right now you can get them, but they don't get the chain swords and stuff. It's like I'm just going to go ahead and paint them all black, and then we're just going to assume that once the Codex comes out,
It'll
it'll
be
jump
there.
right in there.
Yeah. And oh yeah, hot tech that we talked to Anvil specifically talked about. Just paint your armies a custom faction color, and then they're everything, and you have all the different factions.
Especially with Marines, if you just paint them.
Yeah, just say it's a custom faction. Then you can play them as any faction as you want.
We went to the Indie Storm tournament, and there was a guy there that they were like a pastel blue, like robin's egg blue, and they had flowers on their pauldrons.
Yeah.
You know, it's
You don't have to go that far, but
God,
But it's like you could it could be like that, and then they could be whatever chapter you want.
Sunshine posted today the dude that painted him like Buzz Lightyear. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah.
that's a lot of work though.
Have the whole army like Buzz Lightyear. That'd be sweet.
But you can paint them whatever color you want, and then just be from then
Yeah.
on. You can be White Scars, you can be Ultramarines, you can be whatever you want.
And you should honestly paint your army how you want it anyway. I don't think getting hung up on doing it the way the book does it is something you need to
Well,
worry
even
about.
if you look in the book, there's like
A
100
million
different
different.
variations for each chapter, so
Space
Yeah.
Sharks.
there's definitely anywhere you could go.
All right, well, Chad,
I-
let's hear your expert opinion this week. Let's hope you got one.
Well, outside of that, Eradicators are good because everybody knows those.
Can we call him out on being like shocked that they weren't?
He thought Eradicators
Yeah,
were
okay,
infantry.
So,
Well, they are. They thought they were
Or
troops.
troop choices.
everything I read, because they weren't released, I saw people build lists on the internet and they had them as troops.
I don't know.
That's a lie.
I don't know, man.
I don't know where you're
I had
reading
his
on the
troops.
internet.
Internet,
The
I'm
first list I
asking you.
posted
I'm
to our-
asking you. Find me a post where these guys are
In fact,
listed as troops.
The first list I posted to our group chat had them as troops, and no one called me out on it. You guys had a week to
we-
point out
because we
that they
didn't
were
read it.
wrong.
Yeah, we didn't read your list. We just assumed you copy pasted from somewhere.
No, I
I'm
said
pretty
here,
sure.
did it with the
I thought
calculator.
it said Eliminator. Well, they're heavy anyway.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, they're all whatever. But
But I had to change.
He was
you
like,
know,
these guys are heavy. Like, they're dudes lugging around.
Meltas, 24-inch Meltas.
Turns out, I had to change my list, and I can't play a bunch of them, but I think they're going to be good.
You can play a
24-inch
bunch of
deltas are.
No, you can play.
I want to play a
They-
battalion and a patrol. It's
So you can't put them in an impulsor because they're wearing Gravis armor.
I could put.
Does that make them
three of-
T5?
I- I could put 3 of them in a repulsor, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
Does that make them T5? There's a Gravis armor.
they are indeed T5.
They are.
Those guys are gonna be annoying.
Yeah, they're gonna be good.
They're gonna be annoying.
Yeah,
Again,
they're,
Just don't bring vehicles, dude.
I mean, yeah.
Make
they're
them shoot your
strength 4
plague bearers
T5,
with
and
them.
they have
Don't
a billion
Shoot your
attacks.
bird.
Shoot my plague bears with those things. Don't care.
Shoot my bird with a 3-up and
They get 2 shots.
reduce the damage to 1.
Okay, I care a little bit.
I also agree that I think the new Primaris Lieutenant's good.
Okay.
For only 90 points, I think he's really good. He gets the Master Crafted Power Sword as well, which is +1/-3, hard to. He also gets the Neo Volkite Pistol, which is Strength 5, 2 damage, an auto wound on a 6, and just with the right, stratagems and everything. I mean, I'm trying lists without Bobby G
Yeah.
because it's so many more. 380 points is
It's a lot.
It's a lot of points.
Oh,
And,
demon princes.
God damn it! Stop whining about
so
demon
I've
princes.
been making him.
Is this what I sound like with cultists?
Worse.
Tinkering on this with him as my a Primaris Lieutenant as my warlord. I like the Judicar.
Okay, so but here's what I want to know: what army are they good in?
The Judicar?
Yeah, like no, I don't want to just know if it's good or not. Like which faction, which Space Marine faction do you think it's best utilized in?
Probably in Blood Angels.
I think it's best in Ultramarines.
What's the Judicar do?
You just make something within X inches fight last.
Oh, okay.
So you just stand them next to Bobby G and then whatever.
He just always just chops something first.
That's a really
Yikes.
powerful ability. Just be like, and you gotta go last.
But maybe that's not right. Like,
Yeah, I
because
think-
everybody's just going to run away from Bobby
I
G.
mean, he has a
Yeah.
4 up in Vuln. You know,
Well, you don't have to sit him next to Bobby G, but if you sit him in your line,
Just think if you set him next to your Blade Guard veterans who are on an objective.
He is.
You're like,
Yeah,
man, you're fighting. You're coming in and you're fighting last.
his
that's gonna be a bad day.
and his sword is +3, -3, 2 damage
That's a good sword.
with the
It's not
6
pointed.
of mortal wounds.
it kind of bugs me. It's not pointed.
It's
I
kind of,
agree.
It looks sweet. Though.
It does look sweet.
he's
It doesn't-
the
I saw somebody that modeled it to have like a side.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
I've seen people
hey,
put points on him.
not all swords are for. It's not a.
It's
stabbing
not.
Sword,
It's a slapping sword.
Yeah. If you
Still
look
bugs me.
at, outside of the
It's made to
him-
chop through space armor.
Probably
outside of
Admech
him,
over there making it.
Yeah.
Don't need points.
outside of him,
He's
and
swinging. He ain't stabbing. Looks good.
We made this new sphere sword. Try it out.
I like the. I like
Sir,
the
that's
new
a Morning
captain
Star.
a little bit. I think the old captain's better.
Yeah,
I like the way the new captain looks. You hate the skeleton on the
I
shield.
hate the skeleton on the shield. That is some
Okay.
hot ass
I think it
garbage.
looks kind of sweet.
I think it looks
I
Garbage.
think it's a great model to put on your shelf, but I won't be fielding one.
Now, I don't.
I'm just saying, what kind of practical?
So I had an idea.
Use does this.
I think it's.
You hoping they get little bone shards
No,
as
no,
they
no,
break
yeah.
all the bones when they punch?
It's got some iconography around it. So I think it's supposed to be like a saint
Yes.
or that kind of thing. Like it's protecting you.
Okay, but it
spiritually.
only is gonna be there for one fight. Then it's just dust.
The one on the
Yeah.
side.
One
but-
plasma shot, your saint is gone. You have just a pile of saint bones
And
to
the new chaplain, he has one on
Turns out-
his banner. It actually has
Turns
wings
out most of
on
these
it.
Marines get like one fight anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just how 40K works.
That's true.
In every new list, I have at least 3 squads of the assault intercessors because I think they're broken.
I think they're
I
good
mean,
too.
without the plasma on them, they're only 95 points as compared to 102 for the other regular intercessors. I mean, these guys can't become better intercessors, so they can't get the extra attack. They have
Yeah.
enough already.
They can't yet.
Oh,
Again, that's one of those
Make 'em
things.
No, I can't make them veterans
Not right
yet.
now.
If they can get another additional attack to
That'd be
go
good.
with their
Bananas.
sword,
I think there'll be a mix. Some people play like
Yeah, I don't know if I would take all squads of those guys.
no, but
I'm
just
still real high on the infiltrators, so
Yeah, I think infiltrators are really good.
I've never played with the infiltrators, so I mean I could try them a little bit, but I think
And I think the Phobos captain's really strong too because he's got like a sniper rifle. He can deny deep strike.
yes.
I like the bikes a lot. They
I think with everybody having access to
The
deep
bikes
strike,
seem good.
the bikes are really good. I mean, I think I like the Blade Guard veterans as well. In my list, they're going to go inside of a repulsor executioner, or they're just going to hold objectives because,
Yes.
as discussed, they are going to be hard to kill. Like you don't really want to go in there. I mean,
I don't think they're going to stand up the test of time against custodies or anything, but
What does?
against other
what holds that one?
other Primaris Marines, other T4 models, I see them fair. They seem to as solid as anything else there.
It's like a Terminator that's not a Terminator. Like,
Yeah.
It's not as slow, but it hits hard.
Yes.
I mean, my favorite new model is still probably the Judicar. I don't know if he's going to make it into my list. He
I
wins
think
coming
Zach
off.
has a point with like Bobby G or any kind of like high priority model that a melee army is gonna have to target, and putting him next to that is just like
Yeah,
as
he'll
a
probably
demon
want-
player, I would not want to
In
come
the
close
list
to that
I'm
guy.
brewing without
Yeah.
Bobby G, I don't think he fits, but if Bobby G's in there, I think he
even
stands
if you
right
just-
next to him.
Even if you just set him next to a tank.
Him and Tiggy and Bobby can just be their own little castle and come get it. And you don't really want to be in there.
That makes
Plus, I mean,
sense.
He wins coming off the bus. He looks so sweet, man. Like
He's got a 6-inch aura. I couldn't remember if it was a 3-inch or a 6-inch. 6 inch is pretty
Temper
good.
Mortis.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
but yeah, that could be like I said, either Blade Guard veterans or something. Just parking with those and be like,
Come at me.
You're gonna have a bad time if you touch these
Sit
models.
him in between your two repulsors or whatever, something like that.
I think he's really good.
Yeah, spoilers. Space Marines are really good.
Yeah, they're good at. I mean,
And every time there's something that like might keep them in check, they just make a model that circumvents the rule.
yeah, it's like I have a lot, and how my
I think they might. I think in general people have overreacted to how good the Indomitus box is. I think it's good. I think there's good models in there. But I don't think many people are going to use the Blade Guard veterans unless they're doing specifically like trying to objective camp with them.
Yeah.
The Eradicators are going to see a lot of play. You're gonna see those guys. That's a thing. The Assault Intercessors, it's kind of a toss-up. I don't think they're particularly much better than regular Intercessors.
if you put the plasmas on the assault ones and you don't put the grenade launcher on the originals, they are the same price. They're 100 points. So, like, do you want to shoot stuff or do you want to be in melee with stuff? Like, which one?
I think it just gives people the option to take. Like, you can pick. Like, well,
So I think that's what Indomitus picks a lot is the Game Marines options.
I mean,
you're gonna be
Like
like,
now they have like everyone was complaining we don't have melee units, we don't have veterans, we don't have that kind of thing.
so now they can
unless
take,
we play old Marines.
yeah, now they can take like 2 squads of assault or 2 squads of shooty intercessors and a
2
squad
squads
of
of
choppy
melee.
ones. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
So the real question is how long before all the old Marines go to Legends? Like we got to be getting there. They've replaced almost everything.
I don't know. That's going to be a tough sell for a lot of.
It is, but
Still not a lot of jump pack Marines going
they already don't make them. So I mean, it's gonna happen. You're gonna
Yeah,
have to
it's
accept
100% going to
on.
happen.
I don't think you're going to get that this edition.
They only make them in Death Watch though.
that we know.
Well, it's old Marines.
Yeah, like that just might be that they have the stock.
Yeah.
They're already out of everything.
the only other thing I've been thinking a lot about is Marnus Calgar instead of Bobby G.
Yep.
He's only 210 points as opposed to 380, and you get the double rolls without having to take it. Like, I can have it on.
Yeah, that was suggested to you like weeks ago.
Well, I can have it on my Primaris Lieutenant by taking the Helm of Censure as a relic, and then he auto redoes the wounds for one. So, I mean,
Or you can just
or I could just
take a lieutenant.
That's what he's saying. You take Calgar and a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Same thing.
the same thing and then have it on 2 sides. Every list on Bruin has 2 Repulsor Executioners in it right now. So, I mean, that takes up 700 points. So I
Yeah.
might play with that too and go down to 1 and try some other stuff. Or just, I want to play the new models, so I'm going to try them. And if it sucks, and I'll move on.
That makes sense. That's the way to test them, see if they're good, honestly. Anybody else have any more thoughts on that? I have some thoughts on it, I guess.
What?
So I've been just like, I think I've brewed probably 15 or 20 lists this week, and I've been tinkering around with all of the Space Marine stuff. I do think White Scars are going to be good. I don't think this new box lends itself super to White Scars outside of the bikes. I do think, as far as utilizing the box goes, Ultramarines seem like a great choice for a lot of these boxes. Like, I wasn't on board with Chad taking Blade Guard veterans in his list, but then I was like, well, they're cheap enough, and they are like a brick shit house as far as like you can't just deal with them. So if he just leaves them back and like protects his, because we talked a lot about getting out of your deployment zone and not having anything to bring the pain, and it's like that's a pretty low investment for something that's going to seriously deter players.
They're only 5 points more than an Assault Intercessor squad and 3 points more than a regular Intercessor squad, and they're arguably better than the
So
Intercessor
what's the
squad.
power level on the Blade Guard?
The power level on the Blade Guard veterans is 5.
So 1 CP you could strike.
Yeah, I don't even think you need to deep
I
strike
don't
them
think
though.
you do.
Well, I'm just saying you could always just put them off the
I don't
board
think they're a strong enough unit for that.
and then counter
They're
just.
strong, but they're not gonna.
Them being able to ride impulsors is
Well, the
I mean, they
impulsor
do-
itself is.
They do have 3 wounds apiece, so
Yeah.
that's a thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just think they're durable, and if they touch you, like it's going to be bad. So it's one of those things. It's just a nice deterrent from the zone. So I really like that. I am definitely on the Eradicator squad train, like everybody else. I don't think there's a faction that it's bad in. And honestly, for me, I think building without repulsors and stuff like that is going to be the way to go, because everybody's bringing all this heavy stuff, and they're and Space Marines have the answers without playing heavy shit. Like, Eradicator squads are going to kill as much as any Astra Militarium tank really would if it's within range. You know what I'm saying? And they're so much easier to hide and protect. And your shots on them, if you take like big low shot weapons, are so bad. Because, yeah, you may get like 1 or 2 hits, but if one wound goes through and you kill a dude, and all that splash over damage is just wasted. And they're cheap. Like, Eradicator squads at 120 are absurd. So I think that the new format of Space Marines is going to... Now, it's my opinion, but I do think that there's a lot to be said about, like, the super mobile, non-heavy anything playing Space Marines. So, like, I have a White Scars list that I've been liking. I've been liking on paper. I own none of these models and I've never played them. But essentially, it's just a captain and a librarian in Phobos armor just to move forward. 2 infiltrator squads, 2 scout squads, an aggressor squad, a relic contemptor dreadnought because it's super cheap, and 4 las cannons can still bring some pain. Then 2 inceptor squads and 1 of the outrider bike guys. I didn't like them enough to play 3 because I like the bigger units of inceptor squads for the firepower.
And White Scars?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they still have assault weapons, and they still basically have an absurd amount of movement in the inceptors, so I feel like you're not losing too much, and 1 outrider is probably going to do what you need it to do, because you have so much stuff in this particular list that's already infiltrated in the whole midfield.
Sure.
So that was kind of my thought. And then in my heavies, I'm running 1 eliminator squad and 2 eradicator squads. So the idea is to essentially have a couple of super mobile units. Like, I think Inceptors would essentially sweep your backboard. You would run the Outrider across the board, and then you've got 2 scouts and 2 infiltrators just sitting midfield that are just going to snipe off or just keep the board as clean as they can realistically. I know they're not doing a whole lot of work, but they're already on objectives, and they're not fun to shoot at because of their saves. So that's just kind of what I've been messing with. I think it's a solid list, and it also doesn't run anything expensive. So if you're wanting to play a list like that, you could build that list on a pretty tight budget, especially if you have an Indomitus box. There's a lot of stuff that's flexible. But I do think the infiltrators and the scouts are insane. And then White Scars already lends itself to really solid movement. So having the bikes, and you could just play, like, if you bought a bunch of Indomitus, just play 3 Outrider bike squads. That's still good. There's nothing bad about that. It may be better. I just like I like having the wounds spread out over more models. I think it helps them to stay alive a little better. And then Eradicators, obviously, you could just play 3 full units of Eradicators. It's the same thing. Like, if you bought 3 boxes of Indominus, you could build a pretty decent White Scars list if you got your hands on basically some infiltrator squads. I think you could interchange any of the HQs to what you want. For me, I was looking for Phobos armor to move forward and buff squads and deter my opponent from certain areas of the board. So that's what I wanted. And I feel like it suits that role really well. And, like, if anybody brings a bunch of heavy armor, they're just shooting at, like, if they can get line of sight on it, which they'll get something, they're just shooting at trash tier models, like, compared to what they brought those models to shoot at. So my goal is to counter my opponents. Also, there's only 2 HQs. There's no vehicles to shoot at. There's not enough troops to do anything on, so, like, it's really hard to score on. Yeah, no psychers.
No, he's got like...
Oh, I got one. I got one librarian.
Psyker. Ooh, yeah.
But it's really hard to score on that army. Like, to say I'm going to kill something and score on it, good luck. And they're already... We've talked about, the primary objective. Troy and Anvil are both extremely on board. If you can score 15 primary early, it's a really, really big deal. So having guys that just start midfield and deny deep strikes, not to mention the bikes and stuff that can move up and kind of build that area, could allow you to get that 15 earlier and kind of run away with the game. So that's my thought on White Scars. If you bought the Indominus box, though, I would definitely say Ultramarines is a solid choice for some of it, but I definitely think White Scars is probably the best faction for it, unless you're a Blood Angels player. I would say Blood Angels might be the real winner, but you also need a lot of unique Blood Angels models to really maximize the effect of it, I feel. So
White Scars can almost just, like, I bought 3 boxes and...
I mean, you could play them as White Scar, like the Erratic.
You could do any chapter with that.
You could.
I think White Scars, Blood Angels, and maybe Space Wolves are all going to benefit a lot, but Blood Angels and Space Wolves, like you said, have their own characters that you would have to pick up on the side.
Yeah.
If you got 3 Indominus boxes, you could build an army.
Yeah, you could build
Basically, just bring
an
a
army
chapter.
that would bring the pain on the table. The reason why for White Scars baseline is a lot of this stuff is assault weapons, and you can move in advance with no penalty to your assault weapons. So you just have this obscene movement,
And they can advance and charge.
and they can advance and charge. So you can just it's crazy. Like the amount of things that they can do that work with the army is good, and the advance and charge works well with the Blade Guard guys too. I mean, they still get the movement. So
Those guys
like-
are just they're just a solid unit overall. I think they're decent in every Marine.
And I think you're crazy to sell off units from the Indomitus box before the new Space Marine stuff comes out. Because if, like, some of these new HQs interact with some of the older models,
Oh, yeah.
like when they rewrite everything together, it's probably going to go to some broken combos as far as melee stuff goes. So, good on you for picking up your Indomitus. I think we've kind of talked enough about that.
Apparently everyone did, because if you go to Facebook groups now, that's
Everybody's selling them.
Everybody's got 'em.
Troy was talking today. He's like, you go on there and look for a model here, and there's all you see is just some
you gotta scroll
Unless you're looking for eradicators, because pretty much
No, everybody's keeping the. Basically, it's either half the Indominus box or some random HQs
Yeah, like,
or something.
I think if you got an Indominus box and you are a Marines or Necrons player and you are currently selling one of the models, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's not October and the books aren't out and you don't know what's going to
Yeah, unless you need the money, sit on them because they're not going to get worse. Like right now, you got to think the Marines and the Necrons have no codex rules to support all of their new rules, and some of them are already good. So once they get brought into the fold, they're only going to get I don't see how they could possibly get worse because their rules as they're written and their points aren't going to change. They're only going to be more broadly applicable. So I just think hang on to them.
I'm not gonna lie, I sold my Necron half, and I sold my Captain and the Judicar and the Chaplain because I'm not particularly interested in those models, and I paid for almost got my money completely back out of the box.
That's pretty awesome.
So I was
Good.
like,
That
just
works.
out of those models that you sold.
Well, you've already got a bunch of captains.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you
Blood
have-
Angels have a very specific. I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna play a regular Chaplain when I can just play Lamarties. I
Yeah,
already have a Lamarty, so. But the rules go into one captain, 2 lieutenants, and a per detachment.
Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about
Really hurts Blood Angels.
Yeah.
You don't have room for random Primaris captain because you have to have your one captain that you want to go do your things with. I've had a lot more issues building lists with one captain in them than
I wonder if that nerf or adjustment is going to put out to all the armies.
I don't
If we're
know.
all going to be limited to one
A
kind
captain
of HQ.
to
Well, not everybody's got captains, but if I can only have one greater demon or you can only have one overlord, that's going to be a big change to the overall game.
yeah. I think they're just trying to mitigate HQs, and I think that's great. So
It kind of sucks because Smash captains are I want one Smash captain in my list. I don't want to spam them anymore, but I always like having one just in case you need them. But I also like having captains just for the freaking rerolls.
yeah,
Like my list I'm working on right now has 2 Eradicator squads and a Hellblaster squad, and I put a Company Ancient in there. That way they can shoot when they die, and they have a File of Final Pain. And I was going to put a captain back there. That way they get to reroll, and my Hellblasters don't ever kill themselves. But now, if I want a captain that goes around and snipes people, I can't have a captain unless I take a whole nother detachment.
yeah.
It's really frustrating.
Do you guys have the stratagem to turn a Dreadnought into a captain?
Yeah, but it costs. But your Dreadnought's another thing that goes around and punches.
Well,
stuff.
your Dreadnought is, yeah.
Normally,
Normally, you can just stick him with your Hellblaster and
Including
turn him into a
planes.
captain.
and he doesn't have the
It can
cool-
punch planes.
He can't
Yeah.
punch planes.
He could give one of the captains
Troy's
a
like, why is
relic
he
to make it.
why is he moving that box over there?
He could give something a relic to make it a captain, basically that rerolls.
yeah.
Well, I just don't get that.
You don't
Okay,
get
but
that. That's just
they want to touch stuff.
Relics are pretty specific to their armies.
Blood Angels aren't a super castle up, shoot 'em up
No.
style army anyway, but the Eradicators are really good.
Yeah. Well, the versatility of doing both well is solid.
Right.
That's
So
what I think. It just does both well now. Like Ultramarines aren't just shooting now. It's like, hey, I can hit
I
stuff
feel
with
like-
swords now too.
I feel like I can sit down and I can't build a Space Marine list that feels bad. Like, I'm not trying to build
Not
a
unless
bad
you're
one,
trying to.
but I'm trying to like trying a different idea. And every list at the end of it, I'll go, this
could
does
be okay.
this does a lot of stuff for 2,000 points. Like every time I look at the list, I'm just like, it just answers so many things, and it's so hard to answer. And you can skew it any way you want. Like, you can play a lot of armor. It's insane. Like, there's just so many different options of making Space Marines
the next
absurd
list
right
I
now.
bring to the table, I have no idea if it's going to have like Bobby G and a couple of repulsors, or if it's just going to be everything in the armies 200 points or less. Like, I have no clue. They're like a swarm army almost now. You can have so many guys.
That's how the list
Well-
I built was. It's not a swarm because it doesn't have nearly enough stuff. But
Yeah,
the
it's a-
list I built is infantry out the
Swarm,
ass.
like it used to be orcs and Tyranids could like cover their side of the table in models. That's a swarm.
Yeah.
They still probably can.
Yeah.
So I do want to pivot into discussing a little bit deeper our armies from the previous week as well. I've done some more research on Thousand Suns, and basically one of the big things is the Cult of Duplicities being able to jump rubric marine units seems really, really good. So I think that's something worth considering if you're a Thousand Suns player. I know I've had people talking to me on stream a lot about it, and then somebody actually commented on my ad. I'm trying to pick up a Thousand Suns army, and they're like, so you're going to get the army you were talking about. I was like, well, I got to put my money where my mouth is, you know. I'm not going to say it's good and then just not try to play it. So I technically can get the army. I'm just like on the fence about getting it because Troy also has Thousand Suns, but there's not really another army that gets me as excited right now.
Troy's out on Demon Princes. So.
I know. Well, and he doesn't really play Thousand Suns.
I think Exalted Sorcerers are just better than Demon Princes now.
And he's right.
When you take the points into account.
Yeah, he's
Like,
right.
obviously, they don't hit as hard, but they have the same amount of stacking powers. They reroll ones. They're not monsters.
If
So,
you
like,
were there during the
it's just
stream,
a
you
lot
got
of
told
things
to
you can
sell
do
your
with them.
Demon Princes more than once.
Yeah. So the new Thousand Suns list, I'm playing with two variations on it. The first variation of the list plays Airman, the Exalted Sorcerer, minimum size unit of rubrics, a unit of 18 rubrics, one unit of 20 Zangors, maxed out Scarab Termies, one Helldrake, and then I'm jumping into Iron Warriors, actually, so I'm going to go ahead and spend the full 2 CP to take a patrol of Iron Warriors. I'm playing Lord Discordant on Hellstalker, because that dude is like a whole ass problem on its own. You have to deal with it. And he's really not that expensive after the changes. Like 195, that guy does a lot of work for 195.
Wasn't he like 160?
Yeah, he's pretty cheap.
He was
It didn't go up
165.
that much.
The problem with him is you can't screen him.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the biggest
And he's
problem.
not super.
So when you take
problem.
one,
The problem is taking one.
Yeah.
You can't take one.
you got to take 3, or you're kind of just wasting your time.
Well, I'm okay with them shooting at that model though.
Right.
In this list, you know what I mean? Like that is like an acceptable sacrifice. It's just something to say, hey, shoot at this. But if
Well,
it
they
does touch something, it's
it's
rugged.
your shot. Trust me.
Yeah, you can't ignore it.
And maybe there's an option in deep striking it. I don't know. It's if it's 1 to 10 or 1 to 9, it's 9 power level, so it'd still be only 1 CP to deep strike. So maybe you bring him in. I don't know, but I like his stats in the HQ slot quite a bit. If I didn't play that, I'd probably just play a captain. But then I'm playing 1 unit of Space Marines and 1 unit of 3 Obliterators. And the big thing with Obliterators in the Iron Warriors is they have a stratagem for a CP to let you reroll all their D3s on their weapons.
That's good.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
You have to reroll them all though.
no. You can. You have the option to.
So you can like pick and choose which dice.
You don't know what Obliterators do. They're
No,
insane.
what he's saying is you have to choose to
One-
reroll.
No. Each one you roll them one at a time.
Yeah, but he's saying is it just reroll one of those rolls or reroll the whole profile?
You can re-roll each of them.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go. You can re-roll each of them.
may
You
re-roll
roll
each
each
die
one.
one
Yes,
at a time.
it's separate. So what it does is their weapons are Assault 6, and their Strength 6 plus D3, AP D3, and Damage D3. But it's flat and it sets beforehand before you shoot. So before you shoot, your minimum Strength 7, AP 1, Damage 1. But realistically, with the rerolls, you're probably going to consistently be Strength 8, AP 2, Damage 2, flat 2, and you're shooting 18 shots out of the unit. And if you get max rolls, strength 9, AP 3, damage 3 is obviously absurd. And they can shoot twice, and they can be +1 to wound, so they can wound basically anything on 2s. A lot of times, like anything you're going to shoot at. And 18 shots is also good at clearing chaff. Like, it's just one of those units that when you factor in for 2 CP to shoot twice, 36 shots at that is insane for a 300-point unit.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
So I'm back on playing those. They're also T5 now. They upgraded their strength. They're 4 wounds apiece now instead of 3 wounds apiece. They have a 5-up invuln, and they have the death to the False Emperor, which they're never going to use. But and you can set them up in Deep Strike for free. So they have a lot of abilities that can make them really good. So I thought of that as like my anti-heavy unit. But even if my opponent's not playing heavies, they're still shooting 36 shots. So I think they may be worth the 2 CP sacrifice. I'm not sure. And like I said, I could just throw a Chaos Lord next to them so they reroll 1s as well. But that's one way of playing it. The other way, basically, I cut that whole thing, add a second Helldrake, and add another large squad of Rubric Marines. And basically the concept is throwing Rubric squads around the board as much as possible. A lot of shit already flies. And it's the same thing. You can just cover the board quickly. And to jumping Rubrics, man, I'm telling you, that's gonna be really annoying with their guns, because Rubric Marines guns, their warp or Infernal Bolt gun is rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP 2, damage 1. So, you know, if you've 18 of those guys, that's 36 shots.
How many points a piece are they?
It's 324 points for that unit.
I'm pretty sure they're 18.
They are... Yeah, they're 18. They're 18 apiece. So, and being able just to toss them, like, the Jumping Boys was crazy. And these guys shoot
Jumping
and have a
Bows,
psychic
though.
power. And they have a psychic power. And they're only T4 and 1 wound.
Ooh,
But
only
they...
T4.
Huh?
Only T4.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we're talking about this being a T5 up or strength 5 up meta, like, they do kind of fall into
They have an
the...
invulnerable.
We established.
No, they do not have an invulnerable.
We established last week that just because a model has T3 doesn't mean it's bad. Sometimes that model can be broken.
I don't know about broken.
Broken's a little harsh.
Oh, it does have... They do have all his dust, though, so it adds 1 to the saving throws for them if the weapon's profile has a damage profile of 1. So...
They have 2 saves against bolters and blast guns.
Yeah. Seems pretty good.
Yeah. And then they don't get a minus for moving and shooting heavy weapons, but I don't have any of them kitted out with that. Oh, they do have a 5-up invuln.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure those dudes have like a 5-up invuln. They're
Okay.
super.
Oh, still had all these too,
Yeah.
huh?
So, anyway, I think, once again, I'm still on that Thousand Suns train. I still like the Eldrake. 30 inches of movement and a super powerful flamer is annoying. Like, it's going to kill some stuff. It's obviously not going to change. It's not going to sway the game, but it's something that you definitely can't ignore it. Like, you have to shoot it, and it's still a tough model. So
Is it just a flyer? Not an aircraft, right?
it's not an aircraft, no.
They can charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Charged.
I will tell you the loadout. I'm playing it with a Bale Flamer because it's obviously Bale Flamer. So let's see here. It has a 5-up invuln. It heals 1 wound every turn. It's strength 7, toughness 7, and it's got 12 wounds. Its Bale Flamer is a 18-inch assault D6, strength 6, AP 2, damage flat 2. So that thing can sweep some dudes. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's auto hitting obviously. And then when it gets into melee, its strength it gets 4, strength 7, AP 1, D3 damage attacks, and you add 1 to the hit rolls if it's another flying model. So, and it's only 150 points. Like, that's a lot of wounds and
For that,
for 130 inches of movement.
very
Like,
good for the point cost.
yeah, it's just 30. It's not like minimum of
Just
something.
straight flat 30.
Just 30 inches of movement.
But it's not -1 to hit either.
No, it is not -1 to hit.
You can't fly off the table or anything.
No, well, I don't think flying off the tables. I think flying off the table is a good thing to not blow alternative to blowing your ship up. I don't think you ever really want to do it.
Look, sometimes your model doesn't fit on the table, so it has to fly off the table.
Anyway, those are the things I'm high on Thousand Suns. Have you guys? I know you've talked about your Blood Angels kind of theories this week. Is there anything else you've been theory crafting this week, Zach?
I'm mostly just. I'm still crunching numbers on guard, trying to find out the best loadouts for tanks and whatnot. The T5 is like where I'm trying to metagame. I'm trying to be the most efficient as possible. So I was like, well, Punishers are strength 5, so you could tank Ace's Punisher Cannon and get -1 AP. And I was really concerned about that when we started playing 9th, that 2-up save Marines and cover are just going to be impossible to kill. It turns out the objectives are never in cover, so I think a Punisher tank would be super efficient at killing Primaris Marines off of objectives. But I don't know, because like if you play against Custodes or Bulgrin or something, they're going to be on 2 or 3-up saves on that still. And it's not particularly efficient, so I don't know.
And if you play against, my thing is if you play against AdMech too, like there's a lot of other armies where the bolter, the Punisher cannon, just doesn't shine as well.
Sure, I mean you're gonna have other tanks.
That's true. You do have a lot of tanks on that list.
Like you're still gonna have demolishers to go and take out heavy armor.
It's almost just worth it to have one.
Like when you guys
like the Wyvern, like even if it's not good, it's gonna be something.
I'm
agreed.
So I'm still leaning on it, but I don't know. Like T5 is really awkward for guard. Like you have a lot of T8 stuff, so you can wound on 3s, but you're not wounding on 2s anymore. So
Yeah.
it's like demolisher cannons are good, but demolisher cannons are good at shooting everything. Like there's not something in the game I don't want to shoot my demolisher cannon in. So
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe I should just take all demolisher cannons.
Sounds good to me.
this week we've all brewed multiple lists, I'm sure. But like when you're brewing your list, okay?
Well, Battlescribe updated, so now we can go.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the calculator out.
It's like, whoa, go hog wild.
But when you're brewing, are you brewing a list to like this list is going to be good, or subconsciously are you brewing it for our metagame a little bit? I know
No, I do
it's
not
hard
brew.
to-
So what I do is I pick a tactic that I want to utilize, and I try to utilize it to the most extreme. And I say, if this list did this one thing as good as it could possibly do
I
it,
can win.
I want to see how good that thing is. And then I go, okay, well, if that's good, how much can I shave off and it
Doesn't
still
it still
feel
be
good,
really good?
to fill in other roles? But I pick one thing. I go, this is the thing I want to do. And you can see from all my lists, my thing is I want to cover the board. All of my lists, my first priority is board like movement.
You cover the board?
Not with tons of models, just be all around the
But
board.
like, because I mean, obviously your army is going to have a weakness against something.
Absolutely.
So when you're building your list, like to say,
That's when I try
say
to go
we're
back
going-
and plug holes.
Say we're going to a tournament and you're building that list, like, and you're like, I'm good against this. I'm going to cover the board and everything.
Well, he just wants.
And you don't know the meta,
He just wants.
and
to be
it's
mobile.
crushing everything. And then we go somewhere and you play against something that does the same thing you do, just a little bit better. Like, are you just feeling defeated? Like, because I'm building a list, I'm like, I'm good at shooting. Okay, I'm Ultramarines. In 8th edition, I'm good at shooting. My armor's probably the best at shooting, and then I just lose to shooting because he has 100 tanks. Like,
Let me put it this way. Like, we'll go back. We played Magic. You could build a deck that is good against a lot of other decks, but you're still in a tournament going to run into every now and then just a deck out of the blue that
just beats you.
just beats you.
Like,
And the same thing's going to apply here. Like your army and your list could be good against certain. It's good against 95% of the field, but there's like this army here that you don't see a lot, but it shows up. Well, if it shows up, it's going to kick
Like,
you in the nuts.
I guess my question is, like, I'm playing the.
so, well, I'll answer that, what you were saying. So, first off, your army is shooting, right? But you got Bobby G, which is punching, right? You got almost 25% of your army into punch. He's got 100%. He is the most extreme skew of shoot.
pew pew.
The most extreme. So that'd be like me going, well, I'm going to cover the board, but then I go, okay, well, I'm going to shave back my board coverage and plug some holes. And then this dude over here goes, I'm only going to cover the board. That's the only thing I'm going to do. And he just totally hard counters my plan because he does it more thoroughly. And then because he's covering the board, my plugging the holes of anti-heavy stuff maybe doesn't matter.
So how do you win that game?
You don't sometimes.
But like the tournament is all about matches.
Yeah, you gotta play the
The
numbers. What's
best
the
deck
meta
or
game?
list isn't gonna win a
That's-
tournament because it's the best.
We're getting off topic. What Chad should be saying? How do you win that game? Your list is good at doing a secondary. That's how you win.
Yeah.
You prevent them from doing their secondaries. You find the mission As soon as you see their army list,
You're like, oh, they're better at
I would
what
say
I do.
I would say the last time you played Anvil, his list was better than yours, but you got a lot more points than him.
you
Like
just
his list was better. At
play
shooting.
the mission then. Like
Yeah.
you can't
I'm
just
like, oh,
you
I
just
shoot,
can't dominate somebody. You play your mission.
And realistically at a tournament, you're not going to dominate any, especially us. We're not going to dominate anybody. So we really have to be. You have to know all the like. When Zach and I were playing, I took 3 months off, and Zach basically exclusively played guard. And then I came back, and he had learned, like, we were pretty even. And then when we came back, he had learned so many tricks with guard in between those 2 times that the game felt not close. Like, and it's things like that. Like, it's knowing your army. And he had never played against orcs. It wasn't like he was well versed in playing orc armies or horde armies in general. I was the only horde player.
That's what I'm getting.
You just got to play your army to the best of your
know
ability.
my army through and through.
No,
like,
now,
And you want to have secondaries you can do,
Yeah.
like,
not depending on what your opponent
like
can do.
don't. There is no best deck. You know, there's no best
army.
Okay, everybody's good against something. Can do.
I mean, there is a
Marines are-
statistically best army.
Marines are the best.
Correct.
But there are people that break that mold and win tournaments that have been playing the same codex
Just
for
because
years.
they have it memorized.
They're not always the
You know.
best.
But like, do you
Yeah.
play the best army or an even army, or do you like I'm good at this and I'm gonna beat everybody?
I think it depends on the metagame. How broad is your metagame?
How do you know what the metagame?
I think that would be the size.
I'm going to
of
play 1,000 people.
If you're going to a 1,000-man tournament, you play for the best list.
You play the
Because
best
odds
list,
are-
or do you
but if
play
you're going to, like,
I'm good
any-
at this?
Well,
If
see,
you're
you're
going to
the
like a 20-man tournament,
This is like a
you can play
whole-
anything.
yeah. This is a big
a whole
rabbit hole.
thing.
Yeah. The big thing is you're always the person that you always want to play whatever's best. That's the way you've always been. You don't want to innovate. You just want to play whatever somebody else says is best.
I want to take the best army and tweak it to what I think.
That's not innovating. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. That's how you play. That's how you play Magic. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not you're like, I know how to do something and I can learn to play it precisely. And that's fine. But I
some
think
people are like, I fell in love with Crimson Fist.
yeah, and I'm gonna play that.
Crimson
Yeah.
Fist to the day I die.
Even
And
these
then I'm
people
going
that
to
go to
show up and
tournaments,
play the
I'm going to
Crimson
play what I
Fist,
got.
dude, and I'm like, what? You should have seen this list. I
Yeah.
just got blown out.
Yeah, so
Some
you're
dude's playing
focused.
Green Arrow, and that's what you got. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you're too focused on worrying about winning. You should
Yeah.
just know. You should be less focused on winning and more focused on playing to the best of your ability.
We play to win the game, right?
No,
I mean,
but
yeah.
if you
But
play
if you walk
your
away
best,
from the table feeling like you played well, like I've definitely walked away from the table feeling like I played bad. And it's way worse.
Like, the
Like
last-
I've walked away from the table and felt like I played bad and won.
if
and
I
felt
lose
worse.
and I feel like I played my best and they just
Yeah, it felt
they,
good.
lucky the dice make me whatever, I don't feel I don't
Or
feel
like
bad.
you
Yeah.
failed a charge, and that charge
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
cost you 2 victory
Or
points.
if they just outmaneuvered me and I didn't
Yeah.
see it coming, like
the
whatever.
last game I played, I lost by 3 points to Troy, and I think it was because I chose a secondary where I got
It was
0.
definitely because you chose me.
Yeah.
Right. But outside of
That-
playing the game, I think I played fine, so I wasn't that upset with the loss. I'm like, well, I need to do one thing different, and maybe I win. But
and that's what it's all about. It's about playing the game the best of your ability.
Knowing
And-
your list and what secondaries you can get is the most important thing.
And you got to remember, this is a hobby first for a lot of people. So even at tournaments, like there are people that just go to tournaments
They
just
just
to
want-
show
just
their
show off
army.
their
off.
models.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just not it's not Magic. And you can't come into it with that mindset. Or, I mean, even if sitting at a table, if you go into it with that mindset, you're not going to make new friends.
Yeah, the tournaments
You know what I mean?
are not like Magic. It's all about friendship.
And that's what I was worried
It's all
about.
about, oh, that
because I
looks
didn't want to.
cool.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get back into that again. You know, I was like, so Troy went up to that IndyCon, you know, and it wasn't a huge tournament, but it was.
It's probably like 30, 40 people.
But it was just cool watching.
And everybody's
walking around,
just having a
seeing
good time,
everybody's
just
army.
rolling dice, just talking to each other, just banner. It wasn't like there wasn't a lot of
80 people calling for a judge.
super competitive.
Just
you know,
saying,
it was
if we're flying to Europe for a tournament, I'm not
We're not
going
flying
to
to Europe
lose.
for a tournament.
First of all, you can't drive across town. So
I think we've gotten way out of step here. This could be like a whole.
Yeah, this should be a topic. We may actually go over this. This could be a topic next week, depending on what we come up with to talk about. But either way,
But when I build I get similar to Aaron. I'm like, I brewed a list this week, which was like all the fast attacks and mobile units I could try to put together in EdMed. Just see, like put a bunch of transports, put troops in transports, play the Dune Striders the chickens that shoot, playing the new Cerberus Raiders, the new Flyer guys. Just like, how much can I put in? Like,
I'm going to move around all
I'm
the
going to be a
board.
super mobile army. What can I do with that? What would that army look like? just kind of brew lists to be like, well, if I think movement in 9th edition is super important, what would a list of this super mobile look like?
I guess that's my question. Like, are you building like your list, not thinking about everything else? You're just thinking about your list.
Well, you gotta. That's all you can do right now. Like, because they're not a defined
think
metagame.
That's not how I brew my list. I go right. The number of games we've played, I've noticed that playing objectives is super important. Scoring primaries is super important.
So you're trying to do that.
T5 is
Super
super important.
important.
So I'm going to build my list trying to kill T5 things and get into the middle of the board and hold objectives. That's how I'm going to build my list, because I know from my experience and what I've been reading, everybody goes to the objectives with their most durable units. It stands there.
Yeah.
I want to be able to kill durable units.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to,
So that's like your thing that you're doing, though.
yeah, I'm building my list to beat T5. And if I run into a ton of T3, I should be able to handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing with stuff like, and that's a way to build it. But then it's like one of those things you go, okay, well, I built it to kill T5, but can I kill 30 T3s?
Right.
And
But it's like, I'm trying to guess what the metagame is more than I'm trying to build my list to do.
One good thing.
Like, I'm not trying to max out fast attacks. Like, I'm guessing where everybody else is going to be.
Yeah.
That's how I'm trying to build my list.
But Zach's not necessarily trying to metagame against us.
No.
He's just saying in 9th edition, these are the things that I think are going to be valued, and I'm going to try to make sure that I can handle. I mean, you got to answer questions. Their other army says, I got a bunch of T5. Can you handle this? Zach wants to have an answer to say, I can handle T5.
Yeah, my answer to that was Mortal Wounds and Thousand Suns. That was my answer.
Well, like, other than Anvil's AdMech guys, there's not a whole lot of T5 that... Like, I play Bulgrin and I play Custodes. Like,
Yeah,
not metagaming
you're the
for me.
T5 guy.
Troy has some T5, but he hasn't played
I'm just
in a
feeling like every
I did,
list
Zach
I'm
moved off the
brewing
table on
is
while.
like
Sounds like Zach.
I can shoot some stuff and I can melee some stuff, but I'm not. Do I just commit to one thing?
Well, I think you just got to commit to something and play it and see how it goes. I mean, if you build it in theory, like you put it on paper and you go, well, that looks bad. Well, then obviously it's not going to work. Now, if you build it on paper and you go, well, that seems like it would do quite a bit.
like in my head.
Take it to the table
And played a couple times.
and just play it and see. Like if he plays a super fast list, like if it gets mopped, but maybe he gleans from like, oh man,
Well,
these electro
these guys are good.
these electro priests in transport are actually pretty good. So then like he can sweep out the things that didn't work or didn't work as well, or trim them, and then he goes, okay, well, I need to answer these other roles now that I know what I liked about this
I think
list.
that's what I'm doing with Knife. Like my list is like I shoot some stuff.
Yeah.
I got some heavy stuff.
This just
I got some
isn't
melee
this isn't
stuff.
Magic the Gathering where like we can look up the meta every single week. So like right now we are trying
We're
to
creating them.
we're testing to see like we're not only becoming part of the meta, we're trying to answer it.
Yeah, Zach's trying to predict, just from our glean from our games, and you read online and people are like, you really got to. The primaries are important. That's what we feel. You got to get at least 10 points in primaries. If you get 15, you're at an advantage.
You're doing good.
So like, how do you do that? And a lot of people are the same way. They're like, you put your durable units out there,
Yeah.
and you make them, you hold objectives with them, and that's
Zach's like, F that, I'm gonna kill those.
So yeah, so my strategy is I want to preemptively be there because their durable units are slow. Zach's answer is I'm just going to clean it,
and then
I'm going to sit there. We are answering the same question. We just perceive
Different
the
ways.
answer
And I think
to
my
be different.
strategy is I could clean it, or I could just shoot it off, or I could just walk up there.
Or you can get there. You have ample.
Yeah, you have a lot of answers in your army.
I can do a little bit of. I'm like the Rock in old Magic. I can search for anything. I can.
Yeah, well, you have a very deep codex. A lot of armies don't have that.
And that's what I'm struggling with. My codex is.
His codex
I have
is dictionary, everybody else
I
is
have
the magazine.
I have the best worst problem
Dude,
ever. I can
okay,
do
my
anything.
whole codex on Necrons, my entire codex with all the points in the back. How many pages is yours?
Oh God.
Mine is
like
a page
25.
and a half.
And mine's like 20.
It's a page and a half. in
And he's
mine.
got like 3 books.
Yeah. So yeah, you have a deep toolbox. Same thing with like Astro Militarium.
Yeah.
That's why I've started moving into other armies. Like we got Zach he let me take his
Tyranids.
NIDS out of the attic this week. So next week you're definitely gonna have a NIDS list from me.
What is
But
it,
I've been doing
6,000
homework.
points of NIDS.
Yeah, it's insane. It's so many freaking
That's a
NIDS.
lot of bugs.
It's so much.
And he's only had it for like a year. He was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try to do
These
this.
look cool.
I found a good deal. I bought a bunch, and then I was like, I need some more. So I bought another bunch.
Yeah. So you'll definitely be getting a NIDS list from me next week. I'm just trying to decide like which way I'm going to go. And I'm doing my homework on it because I want to be educated on how to play the list. Spoilers, it's going to be a swarm, but we'll figure it out.
We'll get some games in this week,
but that's
too.
mainly because we think that
It's the only way you can play NIDS and make them good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, we think that just being a swarm and just be able to get on
I
objectives.
feel like NIDS got left out when the codexes came out last edition. They just got left behind.
Yeah.
Because they were.
When they get a new one this year, I think they might be. They've already got the tools.
If we can break them before they get a codex.
Well, but they.
I think it's going to just be, if you're going to play NIDS and win right now, you're just exploiting people's overconfidence and blast or something.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially, you're all like, so NIDS are going to be the counter to what Zach's predicted meta list would be. So, like, he's trying, that's why the Punisher cannon is probably a valid choice in his Master Militarium list. Because, like, if he's not playing that, and I throw 60 dudes across the table, like, he just does not have enough shooting to kill it all. Like, he's got really high quality shooting, right? Because that's what you sacrifice a number of shots for high impact shots. So, if I throw 60 dudes in his face and then throw 60 more midfield, how are you going to score?
Most NID games are going to end with you not having many left.
Yeah.
Your opponent having most of the army, but if you win, you just
It's so many
racked up
points.
so many points too.
Yeah, and that's what
they couldn't call back.
At the beginning of 8th and ITC, there was a slow play orcs list before 87 Codex, and they just had like
Yeah,
500.
that's why they put in chess clocks.
But they had like 500 orcs, right? And they would basically just slog up the board. It was just like a tar pit from the center back, and you just held so many objectives.
And they're fearless, so you can't make them fail morale.
We don't suggest doing that because it's kind of a dick move, but
Yeah, don't do
that list.
But what happened was you just could not physically kill enough models, and if you
They'll
did,
just lose. Yeah.
they just sat back and just raked in points.
But I don't think that works in 9th edition either.
I think it does.
To a
If you
point.
get on the
Not in orcs. Not in orcs. They're too expensive. You just can't spam enough models. NIDS are the only army that may be able to spam enough models.
Yeah.
You could spam just as many guard as you could.
Yeah,
You could still spam a shit ton of guard, but you could still.
Everything's 5 points.
The guard isn't as mobile as.
You can spam a shit ton of demons.
It's just
They're not as mobile.
They don't
I've
have
been
as good
trying to
morale.
add magic logic to my list building.
I mean, I think you just need more games. Like, it's one of those things. It's not like.
I think you need to play a couple games before you greatly adjust your list.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
I'm
you
just,
need to get some games in.
I'm just trying to build a couple lists and then play one I think is okay and then go from there.
Yeah. It's just hard. I mean, there's no meta game to play against. We're just all going off of what everybody collectively online is deciding is the meta.
If you watch when we play games, a lot of us have like a core we like. You're like, I like, this is my troop choices and I like these HQs. And then you play around in the periphery. You're like, ooh, well, I'm going to try these 2 units this game and see how that works out.
Yeah.
You know, Zach dropped, a couple weeks ago, Zach dropped the banner,
Oh, the Vixella.
the Vexella, to put a couple extra Terminators in his list. You know, just little tweaks. Be like, well, I'm going to try this and see if those are better than having that. You know, you just.
And here I got 10 new units. I'm like, I want to play 5.
It is a dice
Yes.
game, so you can just lose because of that. You can't say your units are objectively bad.
But reality is you rarely lose to the dice.
No.
I agree with that.
But a
so.
game can go get away from you.
It
because
can. It can. Well, that's why I like Warhammer actually so much more than Magic. It's like I feel like in Magic there were a lot more times that I would get like so far into a tournament and just not have shuffled well enough and just get like huge land pockets. Like in Warhammer, I never feel like that happens. Like I never because all you
at least get to
yeah,
roll the dice.
like you get to set up to do everything
That isn't
every
over
game.
there because it randomly is over there. It's I put it over there.
Yeah, so like if something goes wrong in Warhammer, it's because I did something bad. Like or occasionally something goes really good because I roll 6 6s out of 9 dice.
See, like that's just the math going. Not
Yeah, that's breaking math, but I'm gonna talk about that a lot because that's the hottest roll I'll ever roll in my life. I'm pretty sure.
Good roll.
That's all it has. Good roll.
But you know, as far as list building goes, we don't have a meta game, so you just have to find your play style with what you like to do and what you feel you do best, and then build around it.
Yep.
And my problem is, I don't know what that is yet.
Well, you don't.
Yeah,
do,
you don't.
Just shoot.
You don't do anything.
You definitely don't paint
You
models.
don't paint. You don't play. You don't win. Have charisma.
The only other thing I want to talk about is with Custodes. Is I read it around and I listened to some podcasts and I've come to the conclusion that fist on a Tillman Dreadnought just not going to cut it. So I'm going back to double gun.
How are you gonna squish 2 plague bears?
Yeah, how you just gonna punch play?
None of their guns are blast, so you can shoot in combat.
That seems really good.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
I was
And
how's
it's
he gonna do
cheaper,
it?
right?
He's gonna shoot
It's
it.
just gonna shoot them all.
And they're cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's like, I really like the fist. Having strength 16 dude is great, but turns out you don't need it. Just shoot some more.
Yeah.
He looks stacked and jacked with the fist.
He
But,
does.
Yeah, it's super cool. But and I got 2 Telmans now. And I'm like, hell yeah! And
We're gonna
No.
punch the shield stuff.
I think I'm just gonna take the fist off and just run double guns on both of them.
Yeah. I could see that. That's probably the right
So the
play.
meta becomes all melee, and then the fist will
Well,
go back on.
I mean, you still get.
They're still
And
bad.
the guns are probably better. You get more shots.
Yeah,
Unless you're fighting TA stuff. Like,
Hang-
yeah, unless he's gonna punch tanks, and I've tried to get the Telman in for months. at
he's
this
not
point.
made it past your deployments.
He does. Most of the time, they just stand there and shoot anyway. So might as well give him more guns.
Yeah, I agree with
Zach's
that.
was super mad about the for a long time. He's like, he doesn't do anything. He's just out here wandering around.
Depressing for turn 2.
We finally had a good fight. Great and clean one.
Yeah, but
up until that, he
he
hadn't
played for
fought
like
anything.
3 games and he hadn't
Yeah.
done anything. Zach's like, he's just back here wandering around. Like he dropped him in.
Against me.
He started to go this way. Something died, so he turned around to go that way. And he's like, you just
He's like, I
wandering
shoot
around
some
the
Marines, and then I walk over here, and I, you know.
And he gets to shoot the missile launcher twice if he stands still. So just set him on an objective, shoot some stuff.
come at him because he's
Come at me, I'm
Half the
huge.
damage.
T8, 4 up and vulnerable.
Make him
No,
They
impossible to
did
kill.
FAQ it.
Oh.
It's only -1 damage.
like the rest of the Space Marine.
Yeah.
I think it's
Eternal.
like most of the time going to be just as good.
Until you
Yeah.
get it, once you get it past damage 3, once you go over 3,
Which is just D6 damage. So then you're kind of just
yeah, like
50.
half of 4 is
Yeah.
way better than
yeah, for sure.
-1. Half of 6 is
Yeah,
sort of better than.
but it's got to be 4, 5, or 6. Otherwise, it's just
Well, unless you're getting hit with a shadow sword.
well. Yeah. I mean, things do 2d6 damage.
God. So, what about you, Troy, before we go?
I've been actually brewing with Dark Eldar or Drukhari or whatever.
And?
I still like flyers, but I haven't played it yet. I'm not sure. I need to play with the. I'm still running 3. I'm doing the 3 patrols. I've cut witches altogether. Screw witches. They're not worth their points. They don't. It's not good.
But they look
But they got the
cool.
They
nets,
look
right?
cool. They do have the nets,
They look sweet. So cool.
but it just doesn't work.
If
It
only how
strength-
sweet they worked mattered, or looked mattered.
Only strength 3. Like the nets is a neat idea because you can't fall back if I beat you in a. But it's just
Girl, get over here.
it's not worth
you know?
like it's like 10 points for a net now or something. It's stupid.
Like state.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just
Yeah, stay over here.
you can't fall
And
back.
nobody's gonna try that stratagem where I can just wipe out their unit. Like it's cool that it exists, but nobody's gonna do it.
Now I was thinking about that earlier. Is like there's 7 new stratagems in the core rulebook. I'm not sure that anybody's used any of them.
Single one of them.
I do really.
I
miss,
used morale.
I really miss the
Well,
cover
that was
one.
already
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's new that it only works once.
I think now that we have physical copies,
But like
of the new rule book, we
Desperate
might use them
Breakout
more.
or the one that does mortal wounds when people fall back, like nobody uses
The
those.
new rule book itself.
I
is
don't
a
have-
unit.
I should have utilized mortal wounds when you fell back with your pikes. That probably would have been a good free
Well, but I only,
damage
I
on the
only
pikes.
have like most of the time stuff gets mind charged like a vehicle, so it's like I can roll 1d6. So it's like
Woohoo.
We don't actually like. I'm probably the closest to a melee army, but I'm not actually a melee army because my plague bears are slow. Like nobody is in our group is like tri pointing.
Yeah.
Like a thing
and then
that everybody's
nobody
trying to do.
is charging his plague bearers and then trying to fall back from
Yeah, you actually just left your dreadnought in there.
them.
I don't want to take a bunch of mortal wounds.
So no one's
Squishing
using that.
plague bears every time.
The deployment one is, or the explosion one, the transport is kind of interesting, but
What's it?
the one where you can get your dudes out at 6 inches rather than 3.
That way you can get trapped in your transports.
Yeah. Not many people are playing transport either right now.
Wild.
I think
I think that's going to be a thing.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of people are going
Yeah.
to. As soon as GW starts
That's annoying.
making things.
Yeah, that's something we can mention. Like a lot of things are sold out in the store, and I've seen rumors that they might be getting a large
Chase him
number
out.
a large number of new models.
Doesn't care.
They
Doesn't
previewed
care.
a couple new models. I'll be getting a big influx of new stuff, hopefully. Bro,
Well, that's fair. That's fair. That would be good. So what else? What have you been actually brewing on it other than deciding that witches are bad?
That was my thing. Witches are bad.
Witches are bad. All right. All right. Well, there you
I'm
go.
gonna run Ravagers with 2 Disintegrators and 1 Dark Lance because I think it's nice to have one last can, but
You can run the triple patrol and get
triple patrol, get 12 command
so
points.
like the 6 planes could still be a thing.
Not with Talos, but yes, you could still run 6 planes.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to.
Yeah, if you wanted to run 6 planes, you could do it. That'd be pretty much your whole army because they jacked the price up on the planes.
Okay.
And our troops went up pretty bad too. So
Okay. Well,
you can do it. But the second plane in Dark Eldar can't pivot twice. It was a little limited on its.
oh God, I can't pivot 2 times. Oh my
Well, yeah,
God.
but that just limits your movement, you know.
It's just a normal flight.
Yeah, it's just a regular
normal flight.
plane. How about that?
So if you're trying to cover the board, it gets a little difficult.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well,
Modes or anything. So
What's
you
your
just-
question for the viewers next week?
what's your favorite Space Marine faction for the Indomitus box?
Sharks,
Space Sharks.
space sharks.
Sharks. Okay.
Actually, I've heard Flesh Tearers are coming back. They might be getting new rules,
So
so I'm on board for that.
I definitely want to hear what the what you guys think the best the best faction for the box set is for Space Marines. Mostly because we're gonna have this is to the Warhammer competitive Reddit especially. There's gonna be an influx of new Space Marine players, so I'd like to see a consensus on what people think the actual best faction for the box is for the new players. With that being said, let's go ahead and do socials. Anvil,
At Evilbeard on Twitter.
Zach,
At Mr. Fingerguns on Twitter.
Chad,
At Chad B. McKenzie, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, everything.
Troy.
At Viking Heart on Twitter.
Right on. And I'm BR1NXL on Twitch. I'm LLBR1XLL on Twitter.
Yours is so complicated.
I know. Well,
make 'em all the same.
Twitter has them. I know. I do need to make them all the same. We have Tactical Resources on Facebook. Saw some likes this week. Thank you for doing it. Let's see here.
Email too. If you got questions, send them to the email. tacticalreserves@gmail.com.
Yeah,
Send us
there
all
you
the
go.
questions.
But yeah, hit us up. We'd love to talk to y'all. Like I said, answer the question.
Wait.
Well,
If anybody's got impulsors or manticores,
Yeah, let us know.
Hit me up.
Email
there
the
you
show.
go. Zach will buy them. He's not joking. Just for the record.
Impulsors.
Spoiler alert, they might be really good.
Yeah, but if he says he wants them, he'll buy them. So you guys have a good one, and we'll catch y'all later.